Hello friends and welcome to Edupedia World Videos. This is the course Basics of Programming in C language, and right now we are doing some practical exercises on loops. Okay, so this is yet another practical exercise on for loop, and what we will be doing over here is that we will be trying to calculate the greatest number out of the given set of numbers. Okay, so our objective of the program is to find out the greatest number out of the given array. Okay, so let us now start with the logic of the program. First of all, let us declare an array from which we have to find out the greatest number. So array of numbers, we will take the data type as int or integer. Okay, and the let us name it as list. Okay, and what we can do is we can either initialize the array over here itself, or we can ask the user to input that array. For the time being, let us initialize the array over here only. So if you have to initialize the array implicitly, what you have to do is first you have to declare it as this. So you don't need to specify any dimension or any size between the square brackets while you are initializing the array at this time only. So because it will itself calculate the size depending on the number of elements you specify during initialization. Okay, so let me give some random numbers over here. Okay, out of these random numbers we will be ultimately calculating the largest number, and then we will print that on the screen. Okay, so I have given a list of random numbers, and let us just count the numbers. And there are 9 numbers that I have specified in this list. Okay, so now what we have to do is we have to take one loop counter. Okay, so let us name it as index idx, and apart from a loop counter we need the variable to store the greatest number. So let us name it as greatest and initialize it to 0. So I'm not initializing the loop counter over here because I will be initializing it within my loop syntax itself, but I am initializing the greatest number because it might contain a garbage value, and this is something which I will not be initializing at a later stage, but my loop counter will obviously get initialized at a later stage. And if you want to avoid any confusions, just remember that you must initialize all the variables whenever you declare them. Okay. So this is my for loop, the keyword for, then in the brackets the first thing that comes is the variable initialization. So that I have done over here. Then comes your condition. So my condition would be index should be less than the number of elements in my array, and the number of elements in my array are 9. So it will run from 0 to 8. Okay, so this is the 0th element and this is the 8th element. Okay, in C language the array indices begin from 0 and end at n minus 1, where n is the number of elements in that particular array. Okay, so at the end would be the increment or decrement condition, which would be idx plus plus. In this case we are incrementing our loop counter. Okay, so this is fine. Now I will be able to access my complete array using this loop. Now what we can do is we have to check whether which element is the greatest one. Okay, so what logic I will be using over here is that I have taken this variable greatest. Okay, I will keep on comparing its value with each of the variable throughout the entire array. So first I will compare its value with the 0th element, then with the first element, second, third, and so on till the 9th element. And in case the value of the greatest variable is greater than the loop variable, the index, the value at the particular index, then I will not do anything and go on as it is. In case the value of greatest is smaller than the value at that particular index, then I will just copy the value from that particular index to my greatest variable. Okay, so let us see how it is done. First I will have the check. So if I have to check that the value at of greatest variable is greater than list the value at that particular index. If this is true, then what I will do is I will do nothing. So in that case I have to do nothing. Okay, and in this case I can add a continue statement over here. So else, in the else case, if the greatest is not greater than that particular list value index, so that means that we have found a number, new number which is greater than the current value of greatest. So we will store this in greatest equal to list of idx. Okay, so now a new greater number would be stored in greatest. Again, for the next cycle it will again check for next index. If that index is greater than our current greatest value, then that index will be copied to greatest. Okay, and so on. So at the end what we assume is that whichever is the greatest value will be sustained in greatest variable. Okay, and all other values will get replaced during the execution of our loop. So at the end we have to do nothing but just the printf statement should be there to print the greatest number is, and you can put it like this. Okay, the percentage d is nothing but the format specifier for integer type of variable. Greatest is an integer type of variable, and its value will be substituted at the place of percentage d in the final resulting string. And backslash n is nothing but the escape sequence for new line character inside C language. Okay, so that our printf statement should come in a fresh line, in a new line. That is why we have included this backslash n. So now let us save this program, try and build it. If it compiles, we will run it. Okay, so it is saying that you have forgotten to add the return statement. So by default I will add return 0 because we don't want to return any other value to the OS right now at this time. So return 0 would do the job. Let us compile it. Okay, so now the compilation is over. Now let us try and execute the code and let us see what output does it produce. Okay, so it is saying that the greatest number is 345. Let us verify our result. Yes, 345 is the greatest number out of all these. So let us now try and modify the value of this particular variable. Let us see our program works fine now or not. We have to compile it again because we are changing the value at the particular index. Okay, so the code is still compiling. Now it is compiled. Now let us execute it. Now it should say it is 349. So let us see, it is working or not. Yes, it is working, and it is saying the greatest number is 349. Okay, so now one modification that we can make to our program is that right now we have used the condition that would, in case it is true, this condition is true, then it would actually skip the rest of the statements. Continue, what does continue does? Continue is a loop control statement that allows you to skip the rest of the statements. In case the control reaches here, it will skip the rest of the statements whatever are specified in the loop, and it will straight away go to the next iteration. Okay, so and in if we do not want to use continue this way, if we just replace this condition, just make it inverse. So instead of greatest greater than list, we make it greatest less than list. So what we can do is we can skip all this part, so we don't need an else part also. Okay, this way our code will become shorter. So only if greatest is less than list of index, that means list index value at this particular index is greater than our current greatest value. So we copy the value at list index as the greatest variable. Okay, and when this loop will again continue, it will again compare the value of the greatest variable with the next index, and in case the next index is less than the greatest value, then nothing will happen. We'll just go to the next iteration. In case it is not true, greatest is less than list index, then it will copy the value of list index at greatest variable. Okay, and this way it will keep on continuing and we will attain our result. So now what we will do is we will, for this time, we will add a breakpoint over here. Okay, so what does the breakpoint does is breakpoint helps us to stop the execution of the program at a particular point so that we can continue from there onwards line by line. So this is done by the help of a debugger, and your program needs to be a part of a project for that. So how do you create a project? You go to file, you go to new, and go to a project, and inside the project create edit its main.c. That is how you will actually be able to use the debugger. So to use the debugger, just right click at a particular line, click on add breakpoint over there, and then instead of using this green button to execute, use this red one, which is debug or continue. Okay, so when you click this particular button, your program will start executing, and as soon as it hits to this particular line, you will get a yellow triangle over here indicating that now control is stopped at this particular line and it is waiting for your input. Okay, so we have got this yellow triangle over here, which means that it is now waiting for our input, and we can specify an input using these few buttons over here. Run to cursor means that our control will skip all the lines till that particular cursor. So if we have placed our cursor here, and if I press run to cursor, it will go here and stop again over this line. Okay, this is next line, which means it will simply go to the next line. If I press this, it will simply go to the next line. Okay, so when this is step into, in case you are using functions in your program, so you can use step into to step into a particular function. Step out is just to step out of a particular function. That means you just return from that function. We won't be using these two till we study in detail about functions. Till that, we can just use next line. Go to the next line. It's now at the beginning of the loop, and it is checking for the index value. Okay, if greatest is less than index, so for the first time, for the first iteration, the value inside greatest would be 0. Okay, because we have initialized it to 0, and value of idx, if we check, that would also be 0. So the value of list at index idx or index 0 would be 19, as it is here. For the first time, obviously 19 is greater than 0, so this condition would be true, and our control should enter this particular if condition, if block, and greatest will be replaced by the value of 19. So let us see. Yes, so it has entered the 16th line, that is this line, and here 19 would be written into greatest variable. When you click, if you check right now, greatest would be 0. Okay, and when you click on the next line button, so that this line will complete its execution, now you can again try and print greatest. It would be 19. Okay, and in our next iteration, again 67 is greater than 19, so 67 would get written into greatest. This would again enter this particular line. Yes, it has entered again, and now the value of greatest should turn to 67. So let us check it once again. Yes, now the value of greatest is 67. Okay, but next time the value at index 2 is only 23, which is less than 67, so it should not enter this particular line. The control should not enter this particular line. It should skip this line, and it should straight away go to the for loop. So let us see. Now it is at the if condition. Now at next line, when I press next line, it should not enter the if block. Yes, it has not entered the if block, And if you check the value of the variable greatest, it should still be 67. Yes, it is still 67. Similarly, for the next time it will also remain 67 because 7 is also less than 67. Yes, now for the next time it will be 349 because 349 is greater than 67. Now it should enter the if block. Yes, it has entered the if block, line number 16. Now when I press, if I check the value of greatest now, it will be 67, and when I press the next line button and again print the value of 6 greatest, it has turned to 349. And now throughout our execution of the code, this control will never enter greatest line, this line. Okay, so never the value of greatest will be changed. So it is again oscillating between for and if. So line number 12 and 14. 12 and 14. So it will not go to line number 16 because this condition will never be true. Okay, so now the loop has finished, and at the end the value of greatest is still there, and you can see it is printed that the value of greatest number is 349. Okay, so now we have gone through the execution of this program, and I hope that whatever we have done in this particular program was clear to you. You continue to watch the course Basics of Programming in C language. Thank you.